Another year has come and gone, but one thing remains the same. My Steam backlog of unplayed games increases every year. This year, I want to make an effort to work on bringing that number down. Using a web page that picks random games from my Steam library, I'm going to give some unplayed games a chance to shine. So my first gambit into clearing out my unplayed game backlog didn't go so well. Quiplash was the randomly selected game, and Quiplash is, according to their webpage, a gut-busting battle of wits and witnesses. Unfortunately, I can't verify that fact because I couldn't find any active games. After waiting in the lobby for a while with nobody else joining, I decided this wasn't going to work, so let's try spinning the wheel for another game.
Sidearm. Been with me since the beginning. You want some of this, huh? Bam, bam! Hey, bam, bam, bam! Bam!
And here we go, Tex Murphy, Under a Killing Moon. This game's been around for a long time. I remember buying a Tex Murphy game back in the mid-90s, and it came on a bunch of floppy disks. This version of Tex Murphy, which I think is the third installment of it, maybe the fourth, was particularly groundbreaking because it included full motion video, which was pretty rare for the time. Tex Murphy is a constantly down-on-his-luck private investigator with a self-depreciating sense of humor and free sarcasm for anybody who wants it. Despite those traits, he's charming and well-written. He's the underdog that you just can't help but root for. The backdrop of the game is a post-nuclear war setting crossed with vintage detective novels. Think trench coats, fistfights, dames, and the odd smattering of high technology. The game began with Tex in his office and my first taste of the horrible mouse controls in this game. I move Tex around in first-person view. By interacting with the spacebar, I can go to a static view so that I can actually interact with whatever Tex was looking at. Instead of the typical movement of WASD, movement is all done by the mouse. Looking left or right sets the controls in a spiraling 360 whirlwind. I adjusted the mouse controls in-game to the lowest setting, but judicious control of the mouse was still needed. Forward and back movement was controlled by moving the mouse, forward and back. This control scheme isn't intuitive, but it is doable. The oversensitivity of moving left and right continued to plague my experience with the game. I explore Tex's apartment, and he has humorous spoken dialogue for every viewable item. I learn of Tex's morally ambiguous wife, that he comes from a line of tango dancers, and he has a broke fax machine that probably needs fixing. After checking out everything, I make my way outside to the stairway, which would prove to be almost a little mini-boss in itself, thanks to the horrible controls. Eventually, I fandango my way down the steps into the main roadway of town. Heading to the nearest building, I walk into the pawn shop. The pawn shop owner, a grumpy old man after my own heart, had a bracelet stolen overnight. The expensive bracelet was pawned the day before by a young girl named Emma Nimpton. Tex recognized immediately that Emma Nimpton is just not my name spelled backwards. I investigate the back alley and find someone's been living in one of the trash cans, and apparently I miss a clue while I'm there, and there's more on that later. Leaving the pawn shop, I head over to the newsstand where the attractive newsgirl Chelsea thwarts all of Tex's flirtatious advancements. Now that Tex has a crime to look into, he can investigate when talking to people. Investigating brings up a box at the top right with topics and names that you can ask the people about. Chelsea knew about the robbery, and she tells me about a man with green eyes and an anchor tattoo that was hanging around yesterday. Touring the rest of the locations down the street, I meet an odd cast of characters, a mutant and large but lovable cafe owner, a pizza shop owner who has the hots for Tex, and a dim-witted hotel employee who apparently loves fire safety. The cast of characters in this game is extremely likable, and unlike other games, I found their extra dialogue worth listening to. After interviewing everybody I could, I wasn't really sure what to do next. The only lead I had was the one given by Chelsea, which I could go punch into the computer in Tex's apartment. There's a hint button in this game which was tempting me, and I knew I must have missed something along the way. Giving into temptation, I clicked the hint button, and I was expecting a go here and ask this dialogue box, or maybe an arrow pointing me in the right direction, but instead I was greeted with a checklist of things that I could get a hint on. I thought I was being thorough in my gameplay, but the list pointed out I had missed picking up many things like the mail in Tex's apartment, or a shard of glass in the back alleyway that apparently was important. Not only that, the only objective I had picked up on was solving the robbery and maybe something to do with the fax machine. The hint checklist informed me that I should also be working on getting a bum in a back alley to show up, getting a door in an alleyway unlocked, and getting into a locked shop. Perhaps I'm not quite the PI I thought I was. My journey into Tex's world was enjoyable, and I really like him as a character, but seeing how I missed so much when I thought I was being careful tells me this probably isn't the game for me. The spiraling mouse controls didn't help either. With the disclaimer of poor controls, I actually do recommend Tex Murphy Under a Killing Moon to anyone who enjoys those older style text adventure / point and click games, which were by nature very difficult.